My grandkids, and bouncing off the walls, and so on, because at least the older of them know what's coming. The younger will just pick up from the older that something's coming. Anyway, but being asked to control their exuberance, and perhaps, not I think upstairs, but certainly in the old days, told to be good, or else they might get a lump of coal rather than a gift. And you will recognize the cultural allusions there. But even more to the point, and is an oppressed people waiting for release. And that's what you will have heard more in the readings. For the end of their suffering. Because, you see, an oppressed people expect deliverance. They hope for it. But unlike the other two, they don't know the timing. We know when Christmas is coming, and at least you get old enough, even as a child, you begin to be able to figure that out. How many days? Well, count down on the calendar. You hopefully have planned when your wedding is coming. There's not, the other party isn't going to come swooping in and saying, I have an appointment down at the parish church today. Are you ready? You've planned for it. But this, God's appointed time, we don't know when it is. And so Advent is about waiting. We relive in the Advent season with respect to when God fulfilled His promise in sending His Son, born as a ruler of the world. We relive it. We experience, and of course, as we go into the Christmas season, particularly if you have anything that takes you through the various days after Christmas as well, you go through each of the gospel events and you relive it. God did fulfill His promise. But also we anticipate, and this is that second side of waiting, that God will fulfill His promise to return His Son to this world as its effective ruler. So there's a waiting and a fulfilled and a waiting. We're waiting, So you have both sides. So Advent is a type of anticipatory countdown. We do not know what the real count is, and therefore we're more like those oppressed people that I spoke of. And in many ways we are the oppressed people, because we look around and we see nasty things in the world. But each year we remind ourselves that the count is going on, and we anticipate its fulfillment. It was fulfilled, that first part of the count. The next part will be fulfilled. And so it is a waiting. Every time it is a waiting. And it is symbolic. Its color is purple, or now sometimes blue. So I brought along the stole, which I'll start wearing on Sunday. So our altar hangings will change to purple. And so on. Everything that gets changed in color will go to purple, because it was originally, from the 4th century on, a time of fasting. This is the color of Lent, the fast time. This is also the traditional color of Advent. In fact, at one time, Advent was called St. Martin's Fast, because it started the day after the feast of Saint Martin de Tours. And so it was a time to examine your life, to set things right in the light of the return of His Imperial Majesty Jesus. Set things right, examine your life. And that's what, of course, a fast is about. It's about a time of reflection and examination. And in that light, it's because there will be judgment. And in that light, one prepares so as to be on the right side of the judgment. Because the judgment in Scripture is always that of both reward as well as punishment. Sometimes we only think of it as negative. And we, you want to be on the right side. And so we have a color. Every time I see this color, I know what the season is. It reminds me of what is going on. And for those of you who aren't into liturgical colors, I will also say that really Advent and Lent are the only times this color is used. You might think it would be used for instance, funerals. It is not. We use white for funerals because funerals, we use the Easter colors to remind us of the resurrection of the dead. At any rate, another symbol, an Advent wreath. I actually found a picture of one there. At any rate, now that's a new symbol, but it's a meaningful symbol. It's a new symbol. It's been used in Europe since around sometime in the 1800s and since around 1920 in North America. So it's a relatively new symbol, the 4 candles. Candles often are said to symbolize the prophets and John the Baptist and Mary. And so as the candles are lit and down on the island, the children will light those candles every, 1 candle, then 2 candles, and so on as the countdown goes on to Christmas. And they are steps along the way as the already fulfilled event of the coming of Jesus is moved closer. And, I like symbols. I like burning candles. It reminds me, it's something concrete. I can see, smell, touch, and experience that. So I'm kind of happy for the Advent wreath symbol. And of course, there's another symbol here in the readings, which can be weekly or daily. In some places, you have Advent calendars with readings which you open up daily. Sometimes they're actually printed with little doors with the passages on as you open each door. And you have that type of a countdown. I might just use a lectionary, as you will find in the back of many prayer books. But they pick up the dual nature of the waiting that reaches its fulfillment on Christmas Eve. That waiting, it expresses the longing of our hearts. And the readings call for reflection. So if you notice the readings this morning, which were actually the readings which would be used in a church on every 3 years for the first Sunday of Advent, you will notice that what Greg read was the longing of a people for redemption, and you hear that promise coming, that hope and longing and promise mixed in there. The psalm was also a psalm of longing, as you will notice. And then, of course, the gospel talks about the coming of Jesus, the return of Jesus. And so we have this waiting and longing in the readings and reflecting, reminding us as we walk down the path. And another symbol, music. We use that one piece of music. I actually picked out here off a website a whole series of traditional and more contemporary Advent songs. But what I would point out is that Advent songs are songs of waiting. Come, thou long expected Jesus. Or the one, O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel. You can hear the Advent. That's actually not a Christmas carol. It is an Advent carol. Or on Jordan's bank, the Baptists cry. That the Lord is nigh is when he's crying there. Or actually one of my favorite is the fairly dark and brooding one. Let all mortal flesh keep silent.